Welcome back to today's episode of Is Anyone Paying Attention? Okay. A lot of things are going on in the world, and I think we're going to pretty much not touch on any of those things today.
Not right now.
No.
Not at the moment.
Please know they're simmering in the background. Please know my screen time is higher than it's ever been. Doing a lot.
It's bad.
It is bad. And I'm doing a lot of research, a lot of investigation into certain issues. And then all of a sudden
That's the trap.
That is the trap.
That's the trap. Okay, but one thing we can talk about and then go into our topic of the day is the Artemis mission was successful.
Oh, thank goodness.
Incredible. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
They made it.
We tip our hats.
Safe return.
Yes. That was really quite the experience watching that happen in real time.
The re-entry was wild.
And I really like to see that people got excited about it.
Finally.
And,
It only takes, hurtling at 25,000 miles per hour in a 5,000 degree heat.
Right. In a tenuous heat shield situation.
And then
that's how it
landing,
felt to me.
in the middle of the ocean, hoping your parachutes work. Just that small little thing.
Yeah, just that little tiny thing. That's all it takes to get people excited. But
yeah, it's simple.
I do think that when, and this will be coming out from me at some point, but when I think about the core values that the United States should be orienting around, this is right up there. Like, we should just be known for incredible innovation. It is exciting. Who knows what's next? But it's so positive, especially in the face of some of the innovation that seems to be led by, I don't know, the not ideal people. Space, I think we might be in a good position. So that's really exciting. We salute everyone involved.
Yeah.
Okay. And
but you do know that there are still some pretty big naysayers that don't even think this mission actually happened, which I think is wild.
What do they think happened? Just total soundstage? I just need to know, how many people do they think, like, whatever the conspiracy is, how many people would it involve?
Right. Like, I'm thinking this was
question.
pretty heavily tracked. And so, like, if it was not, pretty well known to have actually done what it did, like, people watched it like the whole way, I think you would know. But yeah, there are people who say, like, oh, there's evidence that, like, a green screen was being used during some of the footage when, like, something would happen weird on the screen, and, like, there's some other weird
You mean
claims.
like maybe like
they're faking it,
like a little glitch or something because they were really far from Earth?
I don't know. And it's just, I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's always my question about any conspiracy.
It's very easily debunkable. And so, like, I feel like maybe should we be the ones to officially debunk?
Yeah, debunked right here.
But we are officially debunking. We can all move forward acknowledging that we did actually just go around the moon.
Yes.
We can get to the moon. We just did it.
It's math.
It wasn't fake. There's a lot of evidence. So
that'd be a little rude to the astronauts as well. They seem like pretty solid people.
Right. So debunked.
Okay.
It's
debunked.
Official.
And also, obviously, we're pretty big experts on the moon. We're actually sending that time capsule, we've been talking about, that's happening. So
that is happening.
You can trust us when we say debunked. Oh,
okay.
Sorry, Alec.
So if you're not up to speed with what we're doing here, well, we're about to get into the full backstory of how this came to be, but what we are doing is putting together a collection of memories, a snapshot of, this time and place and history, and putting together this little, what would you call it? Just a time capsule, a collection of these memories etched into a crystal, ultra endurance crystal storage, etched into archival paper, as well as etched onto aluminum plates. And it's all going to go inside of a pyramid-shaped monument that will be mounted on a lunar lander that is set to head to the moon next year in 2027. So we have a few more weeks to collect these memories. So if you want to join our time capsule and send your memory to the moon with us,
Now would be a
now would
great
be the time. So today, do you want to talk about what we're going to be revealing
Okay,
today?
so today what we're going to do, so just for fun, Coco and I are going to go through, we're going to do like 9 tiles, and each tile we're sending memories that correspond to a milestone or some type of significant event that caused a pivot or a turning point or whatever, starting with the very beginning of our journey. So we're going to walk you through some of these.
A little bit of our startup backstory and like how
Startup
did we
backstory
get
today.
to time capsule going to the moon, you know?
Yeah, because
Where did that come
A lot
from?
of people do ask us, like, what?
Seems random.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's
And
a
it's
story.
really not that random, but we could see how you might think that. So
We're going to get into it.
we're going to get into it. Okay, great. So we're going all the way back to the catalyst for Coco and I being like, okay, we're going to do this, whatever this meant at the time. And, that's a whole different episode in of itself. But where this happened was at our great aunt's memorial. And there was a performance at the Repertory Theater of Little Rock of Arkansas, Repertory Theater of Arkansas, I think, that she supported heavily. But the performance was a one-woman play called Anne, and it was about the life of Anne Richards, which was really appropriate given our aunt and her sisters, including our grandmother, all of their Texas roots. But it was a play about Anne Richards, who was the second female governor in the history of Texas. And she was governor when we were little, I guess. So we hadn't really looked into her before, but the whole play is her like in her office in Austin, just like making calls and being a rascal and getting things done. We looked into Anne Richards after this and we're very inspired. She has a really like non-traditional sort of story. And anyway, that kind of like kicked off, okay, we're going to do this. Like very inspired by the badass ladies of our family. And then Anne, it was terrific, fabulous. So I would say that basically what we took away from that was time to step into our own sort of like, this is what we believe about the world. And this is what we're going to do. And we're not going to let anything stand in our way. I think that was the takeaway.
Okay, so when the memorial happened, that was February 2020. We went back home from that event and we were like, okay, we're gonna, we had been working on some projects for other people and we were ready to pivot into, okay, ready to try to actually put that work towards something that we want to do. And so we came back and we were like, let's do it. We're going to start this idea. It was something I'd kind of talked about like years ago, but never took action on. And then it was sort of like, okay, let's revisit this idea. It was regarding legacy, which again kicked off by the memorial of like the power of your legacy and knowing your legacy and where you come from and how inspirational that can be. And that's where we were really kind of coming from. Then the pandemic hit. You came and visited us on spring break.
Yes.
And then our kids didn't go back to school. And so that was, that was an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of like, that put a pause on things for a minute while the world totally shut down. Let's not forget.
Yeah, it shut down. And then all of a sudden we
weren't allowed to go anywhere. Y'all remember that?
We were homeschooling, so to speak.
Yeah.
We were homeschooling small children. And so it did put a little bit of a damper in our process.
It did.
At that time.
But we got back to it when we discovered Code Launch. It was the first kind of like startup pitch competition that we found. And we were like, okay, they don't take equity. You didn't even need a prototype. You just need, and we had a pitch deck. We had, we had kind of already put some of these ideas on paper. And then Code Launch was the first place that we submitted it to.
And that's when we were like, we went and pitched them in person. And I definitely didn't know what was going on because I was really following Coco's tech background lead. And we like went in there in our matching t-shirts and crushed our pitch. We were like, wow, did we break it? Cue to them announcing the finalists.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Endora.
And we were announced as alternate finalists.
We were like,
What? So it only took us
No.
4 years to come back and do, the world champion thing.
Yes.
But they've been a huge part of the journey, to say the least.
Yeah.
We love
So,
you, Code Launch.
Thank you, Code Launch.
We need to talk about when we discovered JCal.
Okay.
Okay. So I still remember, exploring the ecosystem on LinkedIn, like getting into that whole LinkedIn thing. And I remember being like, oh, look at this guy. Have you heard of him? Like, he seems to kind of be making sense. And so that's how we discovered JCal, was just randomly on LinkedIn. And then basically at like a visioning session we had out at Lake Cherokee, shout out Lake Cherokee, at some point in the fall of 2021, right? We were writing our own headlines, and we can get kind of wild with that even back then. Like, we've gotten much wilder, but back then, it was a little tame, but also kind of out there. And I remember we said the following people would invest in our company at some point: Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, and Jason Calacanis. And so then we found out about Founder U. And so, I guess kind of because of the pandemic, or completely because of the pandemic, it was remote. And so it was a really like interesting access point for us. And
Yeah, being in East Texas, we didn't have an inside track to Silicon Valley, but that kind of
No, we
opened
didn't.
like a little portal.
just to understanding like the lay of the land there. And so
It's a great program.
amazing program. We
And
were in the second
it was when we
cohort.
were pivoting into gaming, and we really did not have any clue, about any of that. So
So that
it was
is where all
before
that was
Endora
born.
had even,
Endora
emerged.
came out of that. And Endora, and then we got the Founder U investment. And we can basically thank Founder U and the people we worked with during that process for the birth of games personalized with your memories.
Yes.
One simple sentence.
While we were in Founder U, actually, we also somehow discovered, probably through LinkedIn, because we were on LinkedIn a lot at this time.
We are not now. I just want to let everyone know
Not-
that. Not really.
But that's kind of how we came across the Female Founder Collective, which is a female entrepreneur focused kind of community run by Becky Minkoff and Allie Wyatt. And they were having an event in Austin, right back to back with South by Southwest. And we wanted to go check it out. We were trying to kind of just network in these communities. We were planning to go to South by and, check out what that was all about for the first time. And so, that's what we did. And it was a life-changing experience. We got to see, in addition to Becky Minkoff and Allie Wyatt, we really enjoyed Camilla McConaughey and Kendra Scott. And they both like crushed it. And
it was very like eye-opening in the sense that we had not yet experienced that type of environment. It was truly women supporting women, which is less the norm than it should be, actually, in our experience. So this is just really like, again, women supporting women 100% genuinely, authentically. Really great organization. But the other thing was the energy that Camilla McConaughey and Kendra Scott brought into the room. We're sitting there front row, again, totally clueless. And really, now that we're having this conversation, now that we're reflecting on this,
yes,
we were doing a lot of things for the first time. Well, we still are. So it's kind of like, it's interesting. But I would say the main takeaway from that event, besides like the supportive community that Becky and Allie have facilitated along with their team, Camilla and Kendra really stuck out to us because their energy it was clear that they had transcended to some point, and yeah, it was palpable, and it was, it's the whole you've got to see it to achieve it type of thing. I don't think we'd really been in the room with those types of ladies. And not to say that the other people didn't have also incredible energy, but those two ladies in particular being our kind of Texas gals, that was pretty life-changing just to see that in person.
Yeah.
Okay, so then right after that, we went to South by Southwest. Super interesting.
And we were going to the tech events.
Yeah,
to be
tech
clear.
events. Oh, and we saw Mark Cuban there.
I'm Mark Cuban, entrepreneur, investor, owner of the Dallas Mavericks.
We did.
So it was another, love him.
Ball of
Great
size.
Chat. Ball of size. That's when we met the guy doing the free water. Is that free water?
Yes.
Right? Which is really interesting. We should see how he's doing. And then we had that really interesting trip into the Nostalgia Arcade.
That's right.
Okay.
I think it's like a museum.
It's like a museum,
something.
but you can play games there in Austin. Like really fun. Look it
Very
up.
cool.
And I'm gonna let Coco tell you what happened, but our friend who we know through a mutual investor, great guy, great company that he's founded, Atlas Earth. So he very generously invited us to his profitability party at the South Congress Hotel. Really like a dream situation and really impressive work on their end too. So anyway, we go to this party and we find ourselves at a table with some of his investors. And, like Coco was saying, we were very early into our Founder You journey. So to be fair, I'm sure that my articulation of what we were working on, which probably wasn't even games at that point.
Right.
Who knows? Okay. So people can be forgiven for not being receptive to our ideas, but it's a vibe when that's going on. But the real fun started when Coco made a couple of just like comments. You want to tell us who you were chatting to, your Ready Player One commentary?
Okay. Right. I think we were just kind of joking about how what we were really trying to do was address the fact that like our target demographic are like just being like just overwhelmed by social media. And it was like, at that time, it was like a dark place. Wouldn't you say this was
This
2022?
was pre, like Jonathan Haidt, like
when the algorithm was really dark. Like I think
Yeah.
they've corrected a little bit because it was like so
They had
bad
to.
for a period of time.
Right.
But yeah, and I think we were just commenting on how like, well, Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, he's clearly the Nolan Sorrento character from Ready Player One. Like literally, like I forget the quote, but it's something like, well, if we can remove the ad restrictions, then we can fill the player's visual with 80% ads before inducing seizures. And it was just like, it's just so
Like,
gross.
that's literally what
Like
they've
that is
done.
literally what they do. Like it's so bad. Like, what are they thinking? Like, it's just like, yeah, just that junk tech. Anyway, talking to the guy who was like in charge of, I think, like ads at Meta for a
Like
period of
early-
time. Like,
early
yeah. Like he
on.
was like one of the people who like really built that system. And
He strongly disagreed with you.
yeah. And I was
And-
like, honestly, kind of like too dense to pick up on the fact that it's like, oh, he's responsible for this exact feature. My
Right.
bad.
And,
Sorry.
yeah, so then we were kind of
I
like,
thought it was obvious to like everyone.
that it wasn't that fun of a table at that point. And so, we left at kind of early and we went back to our Hotel San Jose cave and we like completely like rebranded, pivoted, like, and that's like not the first time we had done that. And it definitely wasn't the last, but a memorable experience.
Oh, yeah.
A very memorable experience.
It was motivating.
And thank you, Sami.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a
Including
good
us.
party.
Yeah. It
And
was a
they've had great
party.
success, and they're just getting
Absolutely.
started.
No, they're crushing it. I think he's brilliant. Actually, J Cal's making a reappearance, okay? Because
Okay.
this is when we see, was it a Slack notification on the launch channel?
Yes. So one of the perks of being in Founder U is you get into the launch portfolio, Slack channel and other opportunities, which is great. Other resources, they have speakers come periodically and offers and whatnot. So yes, this was an opportunity offered to the Slack channel.
If anybody was interested in coming to this thing, like this all-in podcast summit, then you could volunteer and then be there for all of the content. And Coco knew about the all-in podcast, and I guess I semi knew about it because J Cal was a host. But we were like, oh, well, that sounds like very interesting and like a great opportunity. And I don't remember what the actual tickets cost that year, but it was like, okay, good deal. So sure, why not?
Yeah, this was like a week or two before the conference was happening. So it was like, we weren't planning to go, but
like it does sound pretty intriguing. So, so yeah, we went, is this where we talk about how like we might not have been the most A+ volunteers accidentally?
yeah, that was that was an accident.
Yeah, because we usually strive to
We ended up being security.
yes, okay,
Which we
that's
just
a
felt
great
like
place
maybe
to
we
start.
weren't the most qualified for
Right.
that, but we were, down for anything.
Of course.
So-
and, striving to do our best at any job we're handed. So yeah, we were security. Now, if we want to get into the specifics of like some of the trouble we ran into involved like there were guests who were just general admission, and then there was VIP. Was there VVIP as well?
Yes, I think there was.
Okay.
But like unofficial.
Unofficial.
That was like friends and family.
Friends and family. But I think like one thing about this podcast, and this was us sort of like looking from the outside in, is that, all the people we talked to, we would always be like, oh, like, why do you listen to the pod? What do you like about it? And they'd be like, we just love the friendships and just like love the guys. And it just kind of occurred to me that because they've done such a good job with their sort of dynamics on the pod, that's why it's so popular. Everyone there really does feel like a bestie. So the VIP GA thing, the VVIP, like I think some people's feelings got hurt. And we were left to pick up the pieces as security.
Right.
So
yeah.
So like
I don't like having to gatekeep. Like
no. We're not the people you
VIP.
want. Because I'll say, oh, you want to go down there? Like, go right ahead. We were introduced to a lot of incredible people and speakers. Ray Dalio is my main man, and he has been since like session 1 of that summit. I remember being in the auditorium, like up in the balcony. Like I remember very vividly just that whole situation. So very grateful for that. But also just the introduction, people forget this, but we are just these ladies from East Texas. Like, what do we know? And so like getting exposure to some things that we really just wouldn't encounter ordinarily has been, pretty instrumental, I think, in our progress. So love All In Summit. All hail the besties.
Yeah.
So then like 2 weeks after that first All In Summit though, then we go to the Women Venture Summit in San Diego. Absolutely fabulous ladies and great event. But, I'd
smaller
say
scale.
much smaller
much
scale.
different. Obviously,
Totally
budgets are different.
totally different. But in terms of like the quality of ladies and the information being shared, we learned a tremendous amount. But I would say 2 different universes that we got to sort of like port in and out of. So
For sure.
That's,
And the Women's Venture Summit came with like some more like interesting like insights and realities for like what women startup founders kind of like the true obstacles there. It's more of a reality check.
which is not a bad thing. as we learned with Ray Dalio, we've got to embrace reality and deal with it. So that's not a problem. But we learned a lot about basically sort of two ecosystems for building. And one is very like extraction oriented, and it's the model that has been embraced by Silicon Valley in the past. But the second ecosystem is the one where people are building responsibly and they're building sustainable businesses. And, you know, one of the things we learned about the percentage of women receiving funding, and especially like if you whittle it down for people like with our background, or, you know, if you're a woman of color, then it rounds down to 0%. So we learned those things, and we really just, that was the point at which we started to reframe and re-strategize. Like, okay, if this is the playing field, then, you know, hopefully we can be part of that changing at some point, but it is the playing field.
Right. Yeah. I think too, we thought like, okay, up until that point, we thought we just needed to get the right pitch together, find the right investor, but it's sort of like, but the numbers are really not
right.
That might be delusional
And
or
just
a waste of effort.
not a good way to spend your time
Right.
if that is the situation.
Not gonna work
out. And then that actually set us up for a really interesting conversation. Like, wow, now that I'm looking at this, Jake Cal's in and out of this picture.
Oh, he's
all over it.
And he doesn't even know.
He doesn't even know. Oh, he'll know once he sees the pot. But this is what was sort of this, what we learned at Women's Venture Summit sort of led into the question we brought with us to a launch founder jam sesh, another perk of being in the launch portfolio. And it caused a little bit of a ruckus there. So, and we can do a whole different conversation on that, but it did cause a ruckus. Is that fair to say? A small ruckus?
A small ruckus.
A tiny ruckus. Yeah.
It was an interesting little.
We can roll the tape and see. I haven't watched it in a long time, but we can see how big of a ruckus
I think
really
we were
was.
triggering.
We triggered, which we can be triggering. I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that, but we can be a little triggering.
Yeah. We might have been, throwing some truths.
Our next event, Snark Tank.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that between this conversation and when we actually post this, that we're going to have a great clip to roll. You want to talk about Snark Tank?
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Roll the clip.
Roll it.
First of all, I think my mom would love this. I think it's more than just millennials. I think it's all sorts of. I mean, I love an app that just encourages women to take more pictures. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's incredible that y'all found a niche that really scratches your itch.
You may have some important reflections, and I think we kind of tied
Basically, I think another thing we fell into on LinkedIn was we were planning to go down to Austin for Venture Week, and we saw a calling to join a comedy pitch roast event. You know,
like, sure, why not?
Come pitch your startup, get roasted by comedians. Like, sounds amazing. You know, there'll be, investors in the audience, of course, sure, very serious investors.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, it was, so we applied, got accepted. I think we were one of like six maybe, startups who pitched. It was a great time. I thought the comedians were hilarious. But that's where we met Ben, the founder of LifeShip. And that's kind of what got us going on the lunar time capsule. So he's actually the guy who will manufacture the devices, put them in the pyramid-shaped monument, and get it mounted on the lunar lander. And if it weren't for Snark Tank,
we would have never met him, but this didn't happen at Snark Tank. We met him at Snark Tank. We thought he was brilliant, amazing. Turns out we were right, as we later found out. But we actually didn't really reconnect with him until the next year at South by Southwest. And we were at South by Southwest hosting a party that was space themed, and we were calling it Endora to the Moon. But we were not going to the moon. Not literally. No, that was just figurative.
Figurative.
And we had no idea that. So the day after our party at South by Southwest, we went by the Swift Fit event space, which is fabulous, by the way. And they were having a different party. And so we were just popping in the back because we were actually trying to get to
pick up our planets.
We had to pick up our planets and our supplies, but we had to be quick because we had to get to New Braunfels because our friends were eloping. And so we didn't really have time to, we slip in to get these props.
And what do you know?
There's Ben. And actually there's Ben with another lady that we know.
From Code Launch.
With a space entertainment startup. And so apparently we had stumbled into a very exclusive space-oriented party. But that's when we reconnected with Ben. Ben thought it would be a great idea for us to send memories in a time capsule on his next moon launch. We totally agreed. And here we are.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. And by the way, Ben has, part of why he's even doing this is because he had a conversation deep in the Amazon with Gaia, if you will remember.
That's right.
And that's something fun for those of you who have been with us since the first episode. You already know this.
If you don't, go back and check it out.
He is incredible.
He gets into, his backstory, expertise, how he got to where he is now.
Right.
It's really interesting.
Oh, it is. It's pretty incredible. So you're going to see a lot more from him in terms of what happens in space, I think, from a cultural and artistic standpoint and community standpoint, by the way. So stay tuned on that. Our final memory is the Sundance Film Festival. I feel like this is appropriate just because if you start at the Ann Richards in the Little Rock Theater of the Arkansas Repertory Theater, this is sort of unlikely. I definitely didn't see Sundance coming, was that 4 years later? 5?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
So
yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
You want to talk about gold comedy? How do we even find that?
Oh my goodness. Well,
we've got to start with Kat and Katie, Power to Pitch. Shout out.
Yes. So through their program, we came across gold comedy. Through gold comedy, we've had explored writing a screenplay, pitching a screenplay, which we were working on our own full feature film, which stay tuned.
Still in the works, yes.
But that was a really interesting exercise and gave us really good context for how the entertainment business works. We're kind of go big or go home type of people. So
we really are.
As we were looking at our go-to-market strategy and how can we really ignite this movement that we want to do, we're going big. So, Then, we decided to go to Salt Lake City for Utah Tech Week because we had been invited to an event.
Yes. And then it just happened to be
back to back with Sundance. So we said, okay, well, if we're getting into films, we need to go check it out.
We should obviously be there.
Yeah. So we went up to Sundance and we went to a few screenings.
And one of the screenings.
And a rave.
Oh, yeah. We went to screenings and a rave. And that was interesting, guys. You also held an owl. Did we both hold an owl?
We both held an owl.
We both held an owl, which was fun.
The Egyptian theater was a vibe.
Oh, Egyptian theater's in our future. But the other thing that we haven't mentioned is that this fell over the Lunar New Year. So there was a lot going on that weekend. But one of the screenings we went to really ignited a question that kind of underpins everything we're doing now, from, a company standpoint to light technology to what we think should be happening into the world. And the film is called The Stringer. Okay, I'm going to read this sort of overview, okay? But The Stringer is a gripping documentary investigation that sets out to prove that the iconic 1972 Napalm Girl photo, credited to Pulitzer winner Nick Ut, was actually captured by a Vietnamese freelancer whose contribution was buried for over 5 decades. Now, there's a little bit of a CIA thing going on, but putting that to the side, the film is quite moving, but it begs the question, if true, do we care? And so that's the kind of thing we've really started to ask ourselves about a lot of things. And so it feels appropriate that like the journey as it stands now, like that's kind of our jumping off point for whatever's next.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, totally. Well, I think, yeah, it seems like there are a lot of things right now that are being presented with evidence that it's, you know, it's like, okay, well, here you go. This is the truth. And then it's like nothing's happening. And it's like, okay, so then what you're saying is you're acknowledging it's true, but we don't care.
Right. And I just need to get people to like check the box.
Right. Like, are we trying, like, are we striving for truth?
Or are we just saying like, yeah, okay, that might be true, but we don't care. We're not
Yeah,
gonna do
but
anything about
it'd be
that.
really inconvenient. It would just, it would really mess up a lot of things. So, you know, no. We're gonna,
Yeah, so more on that.
I don't know. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Oh, stay tuned. Yeah, and
But it was a great film.
spoiler,
It was moving.
Incredible
It's
film.
Sundance. So to tie that all
So you
together.
tied all of that in a bow. We certainly learned a lot on that trip. And since then, probably, I mean, I would say we've significantly invested in the creative side of Endora. So
Check out our short films if
check
you
out
haven't seen them
all the short
already.
films.
EndoraProductions.com.
And, you know, a little birdie told me that we've also recently acquired iftruedoWeCare.com. And so
We might have some fun with that.
we might. The two conclusions so far are you never know where life is going to take you, and be careful what you wish for. That's the other one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Just be careful with that power you're out there wielding.
yeah.
Because what you're thinking about, what you're manifesting, where your energy is going, it's doing real things. So just be intentional.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do is put a tile together. Are we going with archival paper or aluminum plate for this story?
I don't know. Oh my
Obviously,
goodness.
digital etching, that's included.
It's 444. So I think that means it's 444.
We're
right
going
now.
aluminum plate.
We're going aluminum plate.
We're going
That's
aluminum plate.
Obviously what we're doing.
And
Yes.
if you go with a full aluminum plate, you get 3 copies that you
Yeah.
can you know, put around your office and give as a gift. You know?
Right.
So, yeah. If there's a story you want to tell, if there's a memory you want to send, memoriesonthemoon.com.
Thank you for being with us on another very special episode of Is We're gonna do it together.
Is anyone paying attention?
Until next time, I'm really going to miss all of you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, this is our serious business lady sign off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And be careful what you wish for. And you never know where life can take you. Be open to it.
That's right. And then put it on an aluminum plate and send it to the moon in a time
100%.
capsule.
You don't want other random people representing humanity, do you? It should be you, right? You're
Yeah.
the top
Yeah.
of the top. So make sure that future explorers, human, alien, otherwise, really get the picture.
I meant to tell you I love your sweatshirt.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Honestly, I've almost become like,
Is that a
immune
collector?
to hearing that.
Is that a collector?
There's so many people
item?
saying that to me. This is a collector's item. And actually, I'm just going to be crazy. First person to call in, we'll autograph this. If you want one of these, we'll autograph yours and we'll send it to you. First person to call in, free sweatshirt.
Act now.
I was going to say, I love your t-shirt. I don't know if there's a non-awkward way that won't
Ruin the
interfere with
mic.
your,
I know,
because
to
the
show
back
the
of
back.
this is,
I mean,
it is chef's kiss.
I
It
don't
is
think
cute.
there is, but
No,
go
but
to the website.
Oh, and if you're just like, oh, I don't know, I don't wear sweatshirts. Well, look, Memories on the Moon.
There's a hat.
Roman numerals. Like I would like to know how many other hats do you have that have Roman numerals and the moon. I think this feels iconic to me.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe,
It's a
guys.
vibe. And limited edition. This
Oh,
capsule is
extremely
closing
limited.
very soon.
Oh, we should say thank you to Mello.
We should.
Okay, Mello, they designed all of our merch and
We love it.
And I would say like quality of design work, number one, but also just quality of the products when they arrived.
Yeah.
We are delighted.
No, there's not a miss.
No,
in
there's
the
not a
bunch.
miss. And we're
No.
having to keep ourselves from just, plundering our own merch supplies because we love them so much.
I know.
So,
We'll run out. There aren't
yeah,
that many.
we are going to run out. That's really true. Yeah.
Yeah. Act now.
Act
Limited
now.
edition.
Yeah. And thanks again for joining us.